Welcome back for day 5 of 10 solos in 10 days. Today we have an absolutely epic solo from the band Frost off the song Blacklight Machine from the album Million Town. This is one of my favorite prog rock albums of all time. I definitely recommend checking it out if you haven't. I also loved Frost's album from last year, Life in the Wires. It's one of my favorites from 2024. I think a really underrated prog rock band. But this is a big solo, kind of in the vein of those massive Pink Floyd solos like A Time or Comfortably Numb. That's how it feels to me, except with some more modern techniques. Big long solo that builds really nicely, and there's a lot of cool ideas in here. So I'm going to go through the whole thing and kind of just break it down slowly. So let's get into it. This solo is all in 4/4, and it's over a pretty simple chord progression. We have D major 7, or D, to F sharp minor. And we're in the key of F sharp minor the whole time here, so that's 6 to 1. There's 2 bars on each chord. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's a few other chords that kind of happen in passing here or there, but that's the core progression we're going to deal with through this entire solo. And I've split this up into 8-bar sections. That's how it feels like it's constructed. So there's 8 8-bar sections. So this is a 64-bar long solo, a very long solo. And each of these 8-bar sections build on top of each other until we get to the more climactic parts of the solo. So I'm going to go through these first 2 parts slowly here. So those first 2 sections are very similar to each other. They're basically exactly the same, except for the ending of each part. And the second time through, there's a harmony that's played a third up. I did record that in my cover, but I won't go over it here. This is a pretty simple solo. We're kind of living in this like the F sharp minor pentatonic area up here. But of course, we're playing a lot of other scale tones too. There's a big emphasis on the 9th of the key. So G sharp, right? It's kind of a money note in a minor key. It happens a lot in this sort of music. The other thing I'm paying a lot of attention to here is the type of vibrato that's being used. There's a lot of typical finger vibrato. but there's also a ton of bar vibrato. And I love doing vibrato with the bar because when you use your finger, you're just going up from the pitch you're on. But if I use the bar, I can go down and up. A little bit of a different sound, but another very expressive technique. And he's kind of mixing these two techniques back and forth, right? And there's some little dips and bends too. There's some of those. So when you're playing the solo, just kind of pay attention to those details. I think that makes all the difference here. Because this is such a slow melodic solo, especially at first, all of those little details matter a lot. This third and fourth section are just building on what happened earlier, kind of slowly introducing more notes here and there. The third part couple of new ideas there. It still has this. Mostly still in that pentatonic box. In the fourth section, we get a few new ideas and a couple more notes. That quick little bend, which we'll see later on as well. Get the note D there, which comes from F sharp natural minor as well, but we haven't played it up to this point. Little scale sequence there. Down in thirds, and then end with a little arpeggio. The fifth and sixth sections of this solo is where it starts to really pick up. These are definitely the most difficult parts of the solo to play. There's some actual shreddy licks happening here. The fifth section it starts with that same bend we had in the fourth section. And then goes into this sequence based on a 16th note and then an 8th note, this very syncopated rhythm. Really cool, one of my favorite little licks from this solo. Next part, we get some tapping. Triplets here. I'm double tapping. Triplet, 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 triplet. And then that top tap note moves around. All right. Then we get this run, which is one of the more difficult ones in the whole solo. Definitely a tricky one. We're just dealing with these two fingers back and forth. The first half of it is the second half. So I kind of split it up like that if I was practicing it. String those two parts together. In the sixth section here, they add a few more passing chords. So it's D, B minor, F sharp minor. That happens mostly in the bass. And then D, E, F sharp, that rising idea again. But the playing on top of it is very similar to everything else that's happened so far. Starts in the pentatonic box up here. Have this building pentatonic lick, a very classic pentatonic sequence. And it slowly gets faster. And then this lick also does the same thing. Starts slow and ramps into the speed. It's a really nice idea. It gives this building quality to the lick to kind of slowly ramp into the speed. And this is an A major 7 arpeggio. We get this sequence to end it. Mostly 16th note triplets there as well. So that's another really tricky lick. That one from the 5th section, and then this part here are the two hardest parts of the solo to play. The 7th section starts like this. Much more groove focused here, and that's kind of answered by the band as well, kicking into more of a full-on groove. Then we have these octaves. Always fun to play the octaves. And it's back to those big high bends. So the whole 7th section. You have this big bend at the top. Bend, put your pinky down to get a higher note. Really great sound. I actually use that myself quite a bit. And then the last section of the solo brings everything down from that climax. So we work down a scale. And end with this lick. The really tricky thing there is to get that harmonic. It's very important. Now, there's some post-production stuff, too, where the reverb trail hangs for a really long time. So in my cover, I actually did that, too. I took the reverb, turned it max on that note, and just let the tail hang. But the harmonic itself, what you have to do is find the note an octave above where you're at. So we're here on the 17th fret. So I find where that octave higher would be, and I do a pinch harmonic there, and then bend. It's kind of hard to hit, especially in context, but it's a really nice idea. There you go. There you have it, the solo from Blacklight Machine by Frost. This was probably my favorite of the 10 solos to play. It just felt so good to play all these big melodic ideas. And I was going to cover just a few licks from this solo, but I decided to go over the whole thing because I think this is one of those solos where the licks themselves aren't really that important. There's a few cool ideas here and there, but what really makes this awesome is just the way that it builds overall from the beginning to end. This is much more about the melody and the construction and the dynamics and all of that. There's a lot you can learn from studying a solo like this about how to construct a solo that has a satisfying beginning, middle, and end. And as I said, this is probably my favorite of these 10 to play, and I think if you play it yourself, you'll understand why. But there's day 5 of 10 solos in 10 days. I will be back tomorrow for day 6. But if you enjoyed this lesson, subscribe, hit the bell notification, like, comment, share, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Till then, stay proggy.